to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Smith Radio. Your host, Brian Smith, and
Kerry Smith.
Giving you all the late-breaking news of the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, where the media likes to hide the nuggets of information that they don't want you to know about. Wrapping up last week, all the great things that have happened this past week. Absolutely incredible, folks. You want to talk about a week of success for America, for Donald J. Trump? This is the show to listen to because we've got it all. This was a huge, enormous week for America, and we're going to tell you all about it, as well as the deep state, the fake news, collusion, Russia, DNC, GOP, or the GOP establishment, rhinos, all of them coming out, hating on us, the American people, hating on Trump, hating on what we're trying to do to gain back the power, rein in this insane, that sounds better. The rein in this insanity that is the swamp, the deep state, all of the above. And we're going to give it to you. We got a huge week. Folks, this past week, if you've been watching the scopes or if you have stayed tuned to Smith Radio, you guys know there was an enormous move this week. We moved from one house to another house. Kerry was involved in helping out.
And look, we made it look exactly like the old one. So Brian's laughing because we're actually in the same studio today. So starting next week, maybe?
Right, starting this week. And that's the only thing in this entire house is the studio.
Oh, yeah. We're in a completely empty house.
The no children running around and screaming. You won't hear any noise whatsoever.
Oh, you know your neighbor's going to come out with the 400 horsepower weed whacker and start hitting the windows with it or something.
Right. Right.
That's how it happens every week. But anyway.
So, folks, if this is the first time you're listening, if you found this show, thank you very much. This is Smith Radio. I'm Brian Smith. I served in the Air Force during the 90s. Kerry was in the Marine Corps during the 90s, and this is Military Veteran Talk Radio, Smith Radio. And my wife had made a mention something about maybe people get confused that you're talking about the military, and we're not.
They get confused?
Well, because it's a Military Veteran Talk Radio, and don't get confused by the name of it. It's just that was our history, that was our background, and
we're giving you politics. I see what you're saying. So we're not talking about news in the military.
Correct.
We're talking about politics from the perspective of a military veteran, which let me give you a little insight on this. I was talking to somebody, and just to make sure it's somebody that everybody here knows. If you're listening to us right now, there's probably a 99% chance you know this person. I don't want to drop the name, but just trust me, you know them. And I was talking to this person, and I was like, why is it that we know what's really going on here on this particular subject, and there's so many people that are clueless about it? And I'm not just talking about fans, viewers, whatever. I'm talking about other people that do citizen journalism. Why are they so lost on this particular subject, and we have this thing nailed? And he said, Kerry, it's because we were in the military.
Right.
We were military veterans. There's certain things that we just intuitively know because of our experience, and it's true. And I knew that already, but he had to just kind of. I don't know. Sometimes I take it for granted, but yeah, I mean, you're going to hear stuff from us as military veterans that has a lot higher probability of being actually the case.
Right. You'll get a different take on it in a sense. Like when we interviewed Gary Byrne, who was in the Secret Service.
Yeah. And he was an Air Force veteran.
Right. And when you talk to him, instantly we had a rapport. And you just, there's a different mindset. Something happens to you when you go in the military. And then when you come out on the back end, it's just something that it's part of your life, the rest of your life. And it's a good thing, too, because I don't know. There's just a lot of information. It's a paradigm shift, if you will, and you got it or you don't. I don't know. Yeah. But anyways, that's us.
It's the same thing. It kind of reminds me of how, You can't fake military service.
Oh, I love it when these guys try.
It's actually rare because I think civilians kind of know that they're not going to get away with it. The stolen valor,
it's hard. It's
impossible.
Really,
it's impossible.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody could come out. It would probably last maybe 5 minutes tops before all of a sudden you're like, Brian, I don't know if he really served. He might be lying. Like, it doesn't take very long at all.
No, that would never happen. I would look at Kerry. He would look at me and be like, oh, really?
Okay, well, you know what? It's time to go. Time to get out of here. Time to go somewhere else. Yeah, that's pretty much how that goes down. So if you're out there and you never served, please don't try that.
No,
please do not try to fake it.
And so this week has been an enormous week. I know we opened up the show. This has been a huge week for Donald Trump, and this is what we do here. We expose the real news, tell you what is real, and just absolutely obliterate the fake news. And what is amazing that Twitter has opened up the digits, if you will, and now we are allowed. How many hundreds of characters are we allowed on Twitter?
Yeah, I almost feel like it really changed the feel of Twitter. Because it used to be that, with only 140 characters, what you were tweeting was equivalent to a headline only.
Right.
And if you used all the characters, it was kind of like an overly, windy, just too much for a title.
Right.
Now, and by the way, let me take you a little bit back. It used to be that if you put a link in your tweet, those characters counted.
Yeah.
And then later on they came along and they said, okay, well your link isn't going to count towards your character count or something to that effect. And so you could write more, which was fine. And then they just doubled it out of the blue. Now people are writing whole paragraphs, and now it kind of takes away the feel of trolling with a quick little headline.
However, I brought that up because I don't know if you guys feel this. Hit the hearts if you feel and agree with this. But I honestly and truly believe our relationship with Donald Trump has starting to open up. It's starting to become more like he writes paragraphs now, like 4 or 5 lines. His complete thought is laid out.
Right. I kind of liked it better with the shorter, and here's why. Because the grammar mistakes, the abbreviated, like instead of saying right now, you just write RN or something like that. Or instead of saying any, you say the letters NE.
Right.
So there's a lot of abbreviation. So when there's spelling miserrors, grammar mistakes, or whatnot on the old Twitter, that was like, hey, he's just trying to jam it into a tweet. You only got 140 characters. So it was always a lot of leeway for those kinds of funny little
so you're saying now if Trump makes a covfefe error,
the standard's going to be a lot higher because it's going to be like, well, you had 100 characters remaining. You didn't have to abbreviate can't to be CANT with no apostrophe. Or, you know what I mean? Just stupid stuff like that. But anyway.
So, and I say that because I went straight to Trump's Twitter feed this morning, and I just started going back through the list of things that have happened and the things that he tweeted out, and it's just it's refreshing and it's incredible to know. So let's start off with some great news.
Okay.
Has anybody been talking about the economy? By the way, we're going to get to Roy Moore. We're going to get to Roy Moore. We're going to get to the deep state. There's some DNC, some Democrat scandals that are out there that you didn't hear about. And there's something that Obama administration actually did, and it's being uncovered. And it's so much worse than anything that has happened yet. And Nixon is just rolling in his grave.
Uh-oh, really?
Yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff. And I believe, I didn't talk to Kerry about this before the show, but I'm sorry to say we might have to cut the show a little early today.
Oh, wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, we've got to clean up stuff here, pack up the studio.
Yeah, we have to get it to the new location.
Right. So just a heads up, we're going to jam everything we can.
Well, I guess we better hurry up.
Okay, the economy is booming. Did you know about that?
It's funny. It seems like there's only one of two times that people are always talking about the economy. Whenever it's really, really booming, like out of control, like when we had the housing boom, when we had the internet boom. Right now it's kind of a Bitcoin boom. And so people kind of talk about those particular sectors that are booming. Or if we're just in a horrendous like recession or depression, like the entire 8 years of Obama, there was a lot of talk about the economy during the Obama administration.
Because it was so good.
No, because it was that bad.
Well, then you're telling me that him taking credit for this boom economy right now is not true? Sarah Sanders tweeted out.
Oh, gosh.
Can't make it up. And by the way, folks, Sarah Sanders is the White House spokeswoman, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. She tweeted out, can't make it up. Obama now wants credit for the booming Trump economy. At least we can all agree the economy is better under President Trump. So what is Obama trying to take credit for? Well, if you go to magapill.com, and I am promoting that site, what has just happened? You good?
No. Oh, there we go. Okay.
I'm good here.
I had a total shutdown here on the Periscope. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt Brian here, but I'm watching our Periscope on mine just to kind of monitor the comments, and it just shut down. And I thought it was us. No, it was just me. So go ahead. I'm sorry about that.
So I am promoting magapill.com, MAGAPILL.com. Go there for any kind of great information. It is set up like a Matt Drudge style website where there's just highlighted links, and he goes month by month, December, November, October, from the last months all the way back to Trump's presidency, and he puts in two different columns, the economy and Trump's economy and Trump's government, which is, it's very simple, very easy. When you click the link, a lot of the links go to a government website to verify what the title is. Links will go to other websites like Washington Post, CNN, Fake News, whenever they have accidental drive-by journal, accidental random acts of journalism at times.
Sometimes that happens.
And it's a great website to check it out. So I got some of the information from magapill.com. And in the month of December, jobs numbers just came out, folks, for November. 228,000 jobs added to in the month of November. 228,000 jobs.
Well,
added.
They're just seasonal, right, for Christmas?
Pretty much. All Amazon.com. We need a payment from them now.
Yeah.
For the plug. Donald Trump tweeted this out. He tweeted out and this is why I brought up the whole time Trump tweets, because this is what he tweeted, which he normally couldn't have done. The unemployment rate remains at a 17-year low of 4.1%. The unemployment rate in manufacturing dropped to 2.6%, the lowest ever recorded.
That's interesting because when you think of manufacturing, you think of, I wonder what China's sending us.
Right.
So it's kind of interesting that in America you have that kind of thing going on. Manufacturing unemployment down to its lowest ever recorded. It's kind of interesting.
And the tweet still goes on, folks. That's what I'm liking about this Twitter thing.
Oh, you want the actual article.
Well, he helps. Trump is actually helping us to do our job better.
Okay.
And he continues on. The unemployment rate among Hispanics dropped to 4.7%, the lowest ever recorded.
Wow.
You talk about minorities, and I was talking about this with my wife during the soccer season, if you will, and I said, why aren't these soccer moms getting it? And my wife said, you know what? They are. They're not saying necessarily Trump, but they're feeling it because their husband's got more money, they're making more money, there's more overtime, there's better pay. And by the way, folks, the pay increased amongst Americans just in general, which hasn't happened in a long time. Small amount, but the fact that it increased and didn't decrease is
well, like awesome. when your wife was telling me about how they're just taking, I mean, you have to accept bad hours, but for $20 an hour, you just go with no prior experience, no skills, no nothing. Show up to Amazon and work their bad hours, and you get $20 per hour.
Right.
I mean, I remember back in the 90s, if you landed a job at $15 an hour, you were rolling in it.
Oh, absolutely.
You were rolling.
I always imagined the day that I would hit the big $10 an hour mark.
Oh, my God. I know, because when my first job was $4.25.
Of course it was.
16
because
years
you're
old.
such a young kid.
Well, I was 16 years old and whatever. But when I was working at GE making 15 something, 16.
It's through the roof.
Oh, I had so much money rolling out of me. I didn't know what to do with it. I started buying crazy stuff just out of the blue.
So my first job was $3.35 an hour.
Wow.
I was working at
I wasn't even alive then.
working at Kroger's. I was in the produce department, and back then we had to wear a white shirt, and a tie.
A tie?
Yep.
You don't see nobody in a tie at Kroger's anymore.
Yep. All men had to wear ties. Even the night shift. If they came in, because Kroger's open 24/7, they had to have a tie on. Yeah, man.
Wow. Okay.
So November news, and this I'm just going to go back just a little bit, because these are some of the things I think that have been lost or forgotten, because I'm attacked on a regular basis by the tree-hugging Gen Xer. That Trump ain't done nothing. He done nothing.
Yeah, that's what they keep saying, right?
I said, well, let me tell you something. In November, U.S. economy reached its potential output for the first time in decades. That by the Wall Street Journal. U.S. GDP growth. This is actually new, but it's about November. Remember how we talked about the GDP growth 2 quarters in a row, 3% growth?
Right. Yep, I remember that.
Did you hear on the news that growth was revised?
I did hear that. And normally, under Obama, I remember, I'll never forget this, every single time numbers came out under Obama, they always seemed like they weren't horrible. They were bad, but they weren't, could be worse. It was always the could be worse scenario.
Right.
And then they would revise it a little while later, and it was always way worse than we even expected.
Right, it's like, this is bad.
Right, that's exactly how it was under Obama. So there was a revision under Trump, so it went down, right? Because, of course, they're going to inflate it, right?
Well, they were trying to say that it was 2.8, 2.9% growth. And Trump and some of the other folks were like, no, we had 3% growth 2 quarters in a row. Revised numbers, 3.3%.
So they revised it up?
I revised it up.
Oh, my gosh.
Yep.
Wow.
For the third quarter, more businesses are investing in
Growth? I don't know.
equipment
That is growth.
and software.
That is growth.
And
people.
why?
Because
You can write it off on your taxes this year.
Oh, that's the thing on the tax reform, right?
Yep. Not next year. This year, the tax reform is making leaps and hurdles. If you follow Trump on his Twitter account, he tweeted out about that as well. They are talking about dropping corporate tax to 20% and going. That's what Trump wanted, and it looks like they're going with it. I know Paul Ryan kept trying to say 30%, 35, 25.
It was like 35 for a long time, wasn't it?
Right, but they're going
That
to.
just seems like highway robbery.
Right, they're going to drop it to 20%. And here's the thing about that, folks. Honestly, believe me when I say this, and sometimes it's hard to understand, especially when you're talking to liberals or Democrats. There's no faith. But if you look at history in the past, when taxes are low, the irony is that more money flows into the government because of
The increase in volume.
and people are willing to pay it now.
Yeah, I mean, people have more money to spend, and anytime, if you think about the way taxes work, a lot of states earn money from sales tax. Not all of them, but some of them. A lot of them do. I know in Ohio, everything is sales taxed except for produce in the grocery store and stuff like that. Right. A lot of food items and whatnot. But whenever you get the money flowing, more of that comes out to the government. And you can only get it flowing when people are wanting to spend it on stuff. And they're like, hey, let's go shopping. And people are not going to go shopping when we're in a recession.
Right, and they were talking about Black Friday right after Thanksgiving being a huge spending day just compared to years past. And I said this on the show, watch this holiday season, watch the spending, watch the money. People are talking about, I'm telling you, everybody I know is talking about buying gifts.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody. They're bragging about it.
Records.
They're talking about it.
There's record stuff coming out when it comes to the spending for Christmas this season.
Right.
It's going to be a record holiday season.
And that is due to people having more money, people working more hours. That's due to the economy.
And a part of that is
economy.
the tax reform.
Yes.
That's going to do it. That's going to be part of it for sure. But it's going to get even better because as time goes on, a lot of times there's like a delayed reaction. You don't know how much more you're going to have until like all of a sudden you have it and you're like, oh, gosh, what do I do with all this money burning a hole in my pocket? And then out you go spending it.
And just on something you said that every time something came out from Obama and it was revised.
Yeah, it was every time. Revised worse.
For the first time since 2007, the U.S. economic output in the third quarter was above the Congressional Budget Office's estimates.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, it's maximum sustainable level. Yeah, so this is the first time since 07.
07.
That it's been better than the revised.
All right. So is anybody going to try to make the argument at this point that Obama was not one of our worst presidents in history? Does anybody want to make this argument?
I don't know how you could. Not at this point in time. I don't know how it's possible.
Oh, my gosh.
So if you go to there's a link called bea.gov, and during the month of November, this was posted up on megapill.com. Mining led growth across southwestern United States in the second quarter. Real gross domestic product increased in 48 states and the District of Columbia in the second quarter of 2017, according to the statistics by the Bureau of Economic Analysis. U.S. private sector also added, this is reporting in November, also added 235,000 jobs in October, beating expectations. We've got 2 months back-to-back with 200,000 plus jobs added.
Yeah,
I'm
these
just
are numbers
saying.
we didn't see in the last 8 years. So
No.
I'm excited about it. This is great.
And then just real quick for October, this is the last 3 months that Trump has been president. That I feel that the news has done a disservice to us, the people, and to Trump, doing all the hard work trying to make America great again. This is October's news. Consumer confidence, highest level since December 2000.
Whoa. I'm telling you, man, everything that we were hoping to get out of a successful businessman that's not a career politician is coming to fruition in less than a year. We got 7 more years with this guy.
7! Count them!
7 and 2 more months?
Right, exactly. The Bureau of Labor
Wow.
Statistics back in October said the labor force participation rate of 63.1% reached a high for the year in September, up 0.2 of a point from August. The number of employed Americans reached 154 million, setting a 6th record since January. As the number of employed Americans reached an all-time high, the number of unemployed, now if you remember this, folks, unemployed Americans during Obama's reign almost hit 96 million. And that is just acceptable.
There's only 330 human beings in the United States.
Right. Okay.
That's man, women, and children.
So they're saying 154 million employed is a record. Obama had 96 million, not even in the workforce.
Yeah, they were just totally not working. I thought it was is that total or able-bodied workers?
Well, see, those numbers are.
We need to get more detail.
This from the government site,
because when you know that let's just round it to 300 million in the United States. So if you round up to 100 million are not working, it could be children, it could be caregivers or whatnot, homemakers, whatever, that are not in the workforce as they see it, and but that's like a quarter of the whole entire population of the United States. So it's definitely something that should be a cause for concern. It was definitely a number not good.
Well, it's a number that has never been reached before. That Obama's record of able-bodied unemployed persons.
Right. These are people that should be employed somewhere, doing something.
Right.
Yeah.
And especially minorities between the ages of 17 and 25. I think the unemployment rate was like 57%.
Which is totally unacceptable.
Because those are the young youths that are supposed to be learning how to go to work on time.
If you're a high school graduate, or at least 18, all the way up to 25, and you're not employed somewhere doing something,
right?
That's a tragedy.
Yes.
The entire Obama presidency was an American tragedy. It's pretty dramatic to call it that, but compared to what we're getting in under a year from our new president, his successor, Donald Trump, now we can look back and say, oh yeah, that was just a nightmare. And it was. And we didn't know it at the time because we had grown accustomed to it. That's sad.
So not in the labor force under Obama, depending on the numbers. This is the government website. I got to go with the government numbers because this is what they're putting out. They're saying 95.1 million Americans not in the labor force that are able-bodied to work. I think that was at least a million higher than that, but whatever. Okay, we'll go with their numbers. 95.1 under Obama. Under Donald Trump, now this is going back 3-4 months ago. Under Donald Trump, it's ticked down to 94.4 million. So Trump is actually reversing the collision towards the Death Star.
The number of people that are not even in the labor force, which is a critical number if you think about how they come up with the unemployment number. If you're not, it's the denominator. Right. If you're into math, if you're one of these math geeks, whenever you reduce the denominator of a number, of a fraction, you make the denominator smaller. You make the whole number bigger.
Dude, you just blew a lot of people's minds right now.
So Trump is reducing the denominator, making the whole number of employment bigger.
Do you mean the number on the bottom?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. A lot of people don't know what denominator is. Sorry about that. Yeah. The denominator is in the bottom. The numerator is in the top. Just saying, people. So, anyway.
Sweet. So, okay. So, we go to megapill.com under the Trump government. This is huge, folks. Trump's government. What has Trump actually done in the government in the past 10, 11 months? What are we talking about? Well, this week, December's news. This week. Now, let me go to October because this December news is too good.
It's too good. Come on.
October. We're going back to October. October news under Donald Trump. Senate passes budget resolution clearing the way to pass tax reform with a simple majority. Trump Human Health Services defines life. Trump's HHS. He appointed this individual. HHS defines life as beginning at conception.
Ooh, interesting.
Oh my God.
You know, it's funny. I never really knew what the percentages were of people who support life, pro-life, right, and those who are pro-murdering babies.
Correct. Correct.
But, you know, it seemed to me that it was just the understood convention that if you're going to be a politician, you're either pro-choice or you shut up.
Right.
You don't talk about it if you're pro-life. And now we got a president that's saying life begins at conception?
Well, his appointed Human Health Services said. So this is an extension of Trump because this is why he put this individual there. I believe it's Price. If you want to look that up for me, real quick. HHS. I believe it's Price. He put this individual.
Probably find it faster through watching the comment section.
Okay. And this is nothing revolutionary, but this is the opposite of the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party has come out. It is official that an abortion can be performed up until the birthday. And this was also this was championed by Hillary Clinton during the run up to presidency. It blows my mind.
Eric Hargan is the acting secretary
Of HHS.
Yep, that's what it says here.
Who's Price? All right,
whatever.
never mind. The Iran. This happened back in October, folks. This is October 2017. The Iran deal decertified. Thank you very much, Donald Trump. We don't need to go into how much of a scam that was. They get pallets of unmarked bills and unmarked gold currency dropped on the footsteps of the Ayatollah Khomeini. Thank you very much, Obama. And then saying that the reason why he had to ship pallets of money to Iran is because sanctions on their bank accounts made it difficult for them to cash a check. You remember that, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Back in November, Donald Trump, we are stopping cold. He tweeted this out. We are stopping cold the attacks on Judeo-Christian values. Trump administration abandons the Obama-era Clean Power Act aimed at reducing global warming.
I hope he holds strong with that. I think he is. There were a couple of episodes that have happened since he's been president where the idea that he was against, or I should say, believes that global warming is a complete hoax was in question, which was obviously
we got nervous on the
yeah.
UN, the Paris Climate Accord deal.
Well, it turns out he's going to stand strong because either you believe it or you don't believe it. And if you're running for president and you don't believe that it's a hoax, you don't even question it.
No.
You
right.
have to fully believe it's a hoax in order to say it if you're in politics.
Right.
And he has, because he believes it.
Right.
Which is
absolutely.
great. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you doubt that global warming is a hoax, you can DM me and I will walk you through. I will knock down every argument that says that it's real. It's a complete hoax. So anyway, global warming's a hoax. Climate change is something that happens naturally. Human beings do not have a big enough footprint on the earth to affect it.
Okay, so Tom Price he's the former United States Secretary of Health and Human Services.
Okay, so
Sorry.
So Trump is the one that announced Hargan will be the new acting HHS secretary. Okay.
Cool. Got that. Got my mind right. And then this was by the Washington Post, who decided that they wanted to attack HHS the Department of Education, Betsy DeVos.
Yeah, she's the Department of Education one,
right?
Which I kind of believe that she wants to abolish the Department of Education.
It's possible. So on the website, megapil.com, they actually referenced Washington Post's article. And you got to read into it because they're blasting Betsy for what she's about to do. Yet this is part of Making America Great Again. So when you read it, you got to understand what you're looking at. And so their article goes, school choice tops the list of priorities. Number 1, we'll scare you. Literally in their article, the headline of Washington Compost article. U.S. Department grants its school choice, of course, given that DeVos has made it crystal clear that her chief priority as education secretary is to promote school choice, unlike every other education secretary before her. DeVos says she just wants to give parents a choice of school for their children, while her critics say she is determined to push the privatization of public education.
First of all, why are they making it sound like public that education is public is such a good thing?
This is bad, Gary.
Either A, you don't understand what that means, or B, you're a socialist. It's one of those two.
Pretty much.
So if you hear that and it makes you cringe that privatization of public education is something to cringe over, yeah, that's one of the two things. So you need to get your mind right. Flat out. Privatization of public education is what you would want if you want best possible schools and freedom of choice for parents and give control to parents.
Well, ask anybody that's in a bad school district. Ask anyone who is a minority and really cares about their children's education, single mom homes, and they've got no choice. They got nothing, and they know sending them to school is ruining their children. They know it, and they're desperate to get and they're desperate to get out. Ask them if they would like to choose a different school.
Yeah, I would say that I saw an entire documentary, and I'm so sorry I don't remember this because it was actually really famous, where they were doing the charter schools, and they would have.
I saw that one too.
Yeah, really famous documentary.
It's heartbreaking.
They had all these parents. It was packed shoulder to shoulder in this room that looked like a bingo hall because they were literally picking out names in a lottery system.
Yeah.
In order to find out who gets to be the lucky kids to go to the charter schools. And in the meantime, before they actually they commenced to the drawing of the names, they would interview these parents, and the way they talked about these charter schools, it was like, okay, either A, I get lucky enough to be one of the very few small percentage of parents who has their child chosen, and then my child has a chance for success in life.
To get up out of what we're in.
Or we have to go through an entire generation of grinding poverty until my children have children and maybe they get to win the lottery. Like, literally, that's what they were saying.
Right.
And then they would show the parents who didn't get their children chosen, and everybody's crying.
Dude, they were destroyed.
And rightfully so. They were literally listening. They were experiencing the feeling of having to go an entire generation, having to wait an entire generation to see if they get an opportunity for the American dream. Either you get it with you winning the lottery, or you have to wait till next generation.
Something's criminally wrong about that.
Yeah.
Something is so
That's
criminally
what you
wrong.
get with the public education system, period. And you know why they're trying to get rid of privatization and all private schools? Because it shows people who send their kids to public school what they're missing. If you get rid of that, then they don't even know what they're missing.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
In October, Trump signed the health care order expanding choice and access. U.S. and Israel both withdraw from UNESCO, citing anti-Israel bias. What the hell is UNESCO? United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization.
Okay, what the hell do they do?
Well, right. It has to do with the United Nations, and it was established back in 1976.
Right off the bat, anything involved with
like
UN.
Right.
They're just trying to form a global government.
Oh, yes.
We're going to take down, imagine a world
and
with
have
no borders.
Right, and have America pay for it.
Right. Oh, my goodness.
So this is from their, like when you pull up their website, this is their statement. It says, UNESCO encourages international peace and universal respect for human rights by promoting collaboration among nations. Its mission is to contribute to the building of peace, the eradication of poverty, sustainable development, and intercultural dialogue.
Hold on. Did somebody... It's like somebody put all the buzzwords of the day in a bag and shook it up and said, start drawing out of there.
Yes.
And they were drawing buzzwords out of a hat and just trying to jam it in. That's like the poster child for gobbledygook, basically.
Yes.
What are we even talking about? What am I reading here?
So Trump, America, and Israel pulled out due to anti-Israel bias.
Okay, so anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
For the most part.
So I'm cool with that.
Not everybody in Israel is Jewish, but it's basically a Jewish state.
Right. And if you, they want to promote this whole diversity thing. This is something I keep wanting to bring up, and I keep forgetting about this. Folks, my portfolio is diversified.
Okay.
My America is unified.
Okay.
We are not a diverse country. We are a unified country. We are all Americans first.
Okay.
And if you feel like you want to let me know, hey, Brian, I'm American. I'm all right. Right on. So am I.
Okay.
And hey, man, my family's from Mexico. Oh, well, cool. That's interesting, man. Tell me more about that.
Okay.
Versus
That
coming
sounds normal to me. That sounds normal.
Versus coming at me and saying I'm Afro-American. Oh, so you're telling me you're from somewhere else and now you've landed in America. Why not promote that you're an American Afro or an American Hispanic or an American Canadian?
So it'd be like, hey, I'm American, but I descend from people in Mexico, or I descend from people in, my ancestors are from Ireland or something like that.
And that's how we speak all the time.
Oh, yeah. Like literally white people and people of color talk about our ancestry so differently. So differently. Like we wouldn't even bring it up unless it becomes a topic of discussion. And in most people's cases, they may not be 100% sure where they're from, but like I happen to be my family's genealogist. So I would say, oh yeah, we got lines that go to Ireland. We have some that come from Germany, and we actually have an Arabic line, but that's kind of like from Eastern France. There's like some stuff going on there.
Wow.
Yeah. So but that's like an afterthought. So it's kind of, I don't know. It's we're American first.
Right.
We're American first is what it boils down to.
And I blame the media, the politicians wholeheartedly.
And part of it
on
is
pushing the agenda of the Democrats. We're a diverse culture. Look at all the cultures that are diverse. Look at what happened in Sweden last night.
What happened in Sweden?
I mean, for real. Peter Sweden 7. I forgot to put the 7 on the last. At Peter Sweden, the number 7.
Okay.
Posted videos of Palestinians. Huge march in Sweden. He said, my country's gone. Huge Palestinian march in Sweden.
Okay, that sounds kind of strange.
Very strange. The big problem is that they're pushing this diversity issue, and so Peter Sweden tweeted out a picture of a woman. I had no idea who she was, and she's holding a Palestinian flag, and it's definitely not anything Sweden at all. And so he posted this up and said, "This is Swedish politician." I didn't know that. Now I know. In the parliament for the Socialist Labor Party.
Yeah, that's the problem right there. Once you get into socialism, that's when we start the Civil War.
Who are now in government. She's posing with a Palestinian flag and a picture where Israel is wiped from the map. The Swedish far left hates Israel. Maybe explains why they import Palestinian migrants, destroying Sweden. You want to be diverse? Look at the countries who are diverse, the divided, completely divided.
It's just really weird. It's like, it's kind of like an invasion is what that's what it feels like. Like when, let's just use Mexico as an example. It's like you come from Mexico to America and you want to make your new geographic location a little piece of Mexico.
Right.
And there's no like desire to be like, you don't want it to be that you are now in America and you want to become an American. You are now in America and you want this area that you're in to become Mexico.
And this is controversial only because politicians and media and social media and politically incorrect make it such.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, in SoCal, out in Southern California, there's a term that folks that are south of the border use, and they speak of. There's a radio show on the air right now called La Raza. It translated directly to English means the race.
Yeah, that just sounds racist right off the bat. I mean, could you imagine a white group of people coming out with a with a radio station or whatever called
The Race.
I mean, I don't like it, and I'm actually white. I imagine if you were not white and you heard that, based on the way we've been culturally indoctrinated by our Department of Education, you would be outraged, really outraged.
And let me tell you, they speak all the time about taking back what was rightfully theirs.
No. They lost in a war.
Well,
somebody needs to teach these people what happens in wars.
Well, they believe that if they just repopulate the area with their people, they will have it.
And that's why
they speak about this all the time.
So you just sewed it all up right there. When they come to America, they don't want to be American. They want to turn their
Correct.
little piece of geography into, in this particular case that Brian we're talking about now, Mexico. Right. But like if you look at Minnesota, it seems as if you got the Somalians coming over and they want to turn that piece of their geographic area in Minnesota into Somalia.
Right.
And it doesn't matter what color your skin is or how you behave or your beliefs. It doesn't matter. What should matter is that when you get here, you should learn the Constitution and learn to appreciate it. And that's the reason why you should be here. If you come to America and you either A, don't have any desire to learn the Constitution,
or your agenda is to overthrow the government because your religion, the Quran, says that's what you should do.
Or you do read the Constitution and you're like, wow, I do not agree with this. You really should leave.
Right.
You don't belong here.
Right.
You don't belong here if you don't want to embrace the Constitution and embrace what it is that makes America America. And that seems like that's what the problem is. You should want to wave the American flag. You should be happy that people in your children's school are wearing shirts that have that are made out of the American flag, or red, white, and blue, or whatever. I mean, if I decided, you know where I really want to live? I really want to move to France, and I want to live there the rest of my life. I would think that I would want to learn their government, and maybe that would be a reason why I would want to go. Like, wow, right. I really like the way they do it there, or just maybe the culture in general. Like, I really like baguettes, whatever. When I'm there, you would probably see me post I would put a flagpole in my front yard with an American flag. No, I'd probably put the French flag there and be like, hey, I know I got an American accent, but I'm telling you right now, I love it here. That's how it would be.
And you'd probably start smoking fags.
Whoa, dude, it's a family show.
No, that's what they call cigarettes.
Oh, I thought that was the British that called it that.
All of them.
Oh, they all call them fags.
Yeah, no, you didn't
You're
know that?
Gonna shut down, man.
No,
the
hey,
FCC.
come on. We're talking about other countries, so I'm letting you know.
It's the FCC at the door.
Come on,
man.
Why do
they
a certain cultural steal our words? They're words, man. They're just words.
Right. And I'm gonna tell you right now, when you listen to Smith Radio, you're gonna have a gay old time.
Yes, we have a gay time every day.
Yes.
Oh
anyway.
my goodness. So, but not to get, and we're not getting far off the topic, folks. This is what we're talking about. The last 3 months of Donald Trump. We're winding out the year. Christmas is around the corner. New Year's is around the corner, and Donald Trump is going Rambo. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's just going all out, doing what he can, and
I like that as a verb.
It's going Rambo?
Yes.
Yeah.
My favorite.
Yeah. Well, tell people what going Rambo means.
Well, when I was a kid,
because Rambo was one of the best movies ever.
We used to go hiking a lot as a kid. You know, back in the day, your parents would just tell you to be home by the time the sun went down.
Right, or when the streetlights came on.
Right.
Whatever. Yeah.
And so you would just go wherever your feet could take you, or in some cases a bike. And we actually lived close to a forest, and we would go into the forest and hike. Well, we all love the movie Rambo. In fact, a cartoon came out about it too.
It did.
A Rambo cartoon. Yes. And sometimes when you're walking through the forest, you lose track of the actual trail.
Right.
Like you can't tell. Like the trail just disappears. So what you do is to find the trail again, you do what my friend called going Rambo.
Right.
And that's where you start to sprint in one direction as fast as you can. And just try not to hit any trees, but you're hitting every branch in the whole entire wood. So that's going Ramboing, is literally a dead sprint through the woods without any regard to the trail. Because eventually you're going to come to a little bit of an opening where you're like, oh, here's a trail.
Or to the end of wherever.
Oh, yeah.
Something.
You don't want to do this when there's cliffs nearby.
No.
Don't do this at Red River Gorge.
No.
Do not do that.
So Donald Trump is doing this in Washington, D.C.
Oh,
currently.
he lost the trail.
Yes.
He's like, man, this swamp is getting thick. It's time to go Rambo.
That's
a good analogy. I like that.
When he took office, January 20th of last year, or this past year, January 20th, he in my mind, he walked in and said, okay, open slate. I'm not going to prejudge any of y'all, none of y'all.
Okay.
I know you said a lot of bad things about me, and y'all pretty much a bunch of idiots, but I'm not going to judge. Let's bring this together. Let's make this happen. Lo and behold, nah, it didn't work. None of that. None.
That's because he didn't know that. Well, see, he was coming to Washington thinking that everybody there were just a bunch of blithering idiots. And we thought that too. I think most people just thought, man, I wish we could send people to Washington that weren't so stupid, right?
Right.
And so he was thinking, hey, I'm a smart guy. I'll go to Washington and I'll start to do things the way that they're supposed to be done based on my intelligence and my experience and all this kind of stuff. He used his intelligence to be a successful businessman. Why can't he use that same intelligence to be a successful politician, let's say, or representative of the people? Turns out, these people aren't stupid. That's not what was going on.
They're playing stupid. They're playing possum is what they're doing.
They're playing stupid. It turns out the corruption is so deep, I think it shocks the hell out of Trump. I think it shocks everybody.
It's gonna get worse before it gets better, and Trump is doing everything he can to he's going Rambo in there.
If you used to believe the things that we're now finding out are actually happening, then you were branded a tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist. You were like Alex Jones.
Yeah.
One of the first things, we used to make fun of Alex Jones back in the 2014, 15. That was the thing.
Well, here's how crazy some of the Alex Jones followers were at the time. One took to Facebook and left us a 1-star review hating our show.
Yeah.
Because we remarked that Alex Jones had some conspiracy theories.
Something like that. Well, it turns out.
But he has, though, in the past.
Well, and he still has a couple that I'm just like, come on, man.
I can't do it.
All right. So fast forward to 2016, Alex Jones, the DNC leaks proved a lot of these crazy conspiracy theories absolutely factual. And a lot of them were originated by Alex Jones or people that are like him. And we were just like, we got like red pilled. Yeah. And so we finally gained a lot of respect for him. And then that was like the genesis of your Mike Cernovich's and people like him. And now it's like, all conspiracy theories are plausible until proven incorrect.
Right. And I'll go down that road. We will go down that road and we'll figure it out. And I don't jump on the bandwagon of conspiracy theories until I find out the answer.
I jump on them right away and say, Lord, I'm ready to jump off. If anything funny comes up, if I start to feel the trucks of the train wheels on the ties and off the rail, they're starting to go crazy because they're on the ties. I'm going to go ahead and bail. I'm going to bail. Okay. I'll be the first one to bail if I start to feel that we're not on the rails anymore. So
that's cool.
But I'll jump on any train you want.
Oh, wow.
Even the one that's in the 1930s.
No,
not that one.
No.
Don't get on that train.
Don't get on the train.
Oh, that's a bad one. Don't get on.
First, they say they would confiscate your guns and it would be safer, and then they say board the train. Right. Anyhow, so Donald Trump making America great again by leaps and bounds. We just talked about the economy, talking about Donald Trump's government, and the Senate passes sweeping tax reform, 20% corporate credit. This will be the largest tax reduction, tax reform in 31 years. That's huge, folks. I mean, I don't know what else to say. U.S. does pull out of the UN Global Compact on Migration. That's a good thing, too. And this is December, by the way, Donald Trump's December. And just this week, Donald Trump declares Jerusalem the capital of Israel.
That's pretty awesome.
Now, why is that such a big deal, and why is the mainstream media screaming about Donald Trump now causing international conflict with
Well, I mean, there's been a lot of world leaders that have promised this kind of thing. Maybe not exactly, but sometimes exactly.
Yeah. Paul Joseph Watson, I think, did a really, really good video. It's about 4 minutes long. I'd like to play it for you because it really lays out the past, the present, what's real, what's not real. You know, Peter Sweden 7, talking about Palestinians and how they absolutely despise Israel and they're taking over Sweden. And now you've got
Somebody said stay off the Bernie train, by the way, on the comments section.
Bernie Sanders.
Don't get on the Bernie train.
The burning train?
No,
the Bernie Sanders train.
Yes, don't get on his train.
No, stay off that train because we talked about this last week. He said the American dream is in Venezuela.
Oh, come on.
Google it. I'm telling you.
Oh,
Insanity ensues here, folks.
back to Paul Joseph.
Right. So here's Paul Joseph doing what he does best.
Trump has caused international outrage by recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Who would do such a thing?
Jerusalem is still the capital of Israel and must remain an undivided city accessible to all.
As soon as I take office, I will begin the process of moving the United States ambassador to the city of Israel as chosen as its capital.
I continue to say that Jerusalem will be the capital of Israel, and I have said that before, and I will say it again.
And Jerusalem will remain the capital of Israel.
Oh, but why is Trump doing this now? Why is he inflaming the Middle East and provoking an explosion of violence? Whoa. Why would Muslims resort to violence? As we all know by now, Islam is a religion of peace. So, I mean, it's impossible. I don't understand. You're saying Muslims have so little control over their actions, they're just gonna flip out like animals. Sounds pretty Islamophobic to me. And I mean, it's not as if they're setting fire to their own neighborhoods and violently attacking Jewish restaurants. Firing rockets into Israel. It's not like the leader of Hamas called for peace to be abandoned and for Palestinians to launch an uprising. It's not like the head of Hamas in Gaza literally called for terrorism. Islam's a religion of peace. That's impossible. It's not happening. These are reasonable people. It's not like they were massacring Jews in Jerusalem 20 years before Israel even existed. It's not like they've repeatedly called for Israel to be wiped from the pages of history. That's never happened. It's not like the Palestinian Authority still refuses to acknowledge Israel's right to even exist. It's not like Muslims have launched violence against Jews for the sin of visiting Jewish holy sites for decades. It's not like Muslims used gravestones from Jewish cemeteries to pave their roads. None of that happened. These are reasonable people. There's no history whatsoever of them turning violent, and if they ever did, it could only be Donald Trump's fault. Not because they're anti-Semites who just hate Jewish people. They're reasonable. Also, Trump recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel is so reckless, it's unprecedented. It's not like Congress passed a law 22 years ago called the Jerusalem Embassy Act, which described Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Oh, it did. It's not like the US Senate voted 90-0 that Jerusalem should remain the undivided capital of Israel just 6 months ago. Oh, it did. It's not like Bill Clinton came into office supporting the declaration of Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Oh, he did. Yeah, but it's not like George W. Bush promised to move the US Embassy to Jerusalem. Oh, he did. But Trump's bad anyway because he's following through on his promise. That's bad. I mean, CNN literally says he's bad for keeping his promises, so I guess it must be true. Also, doesn't this just prove everyone right who said that Trump was a Nazi and literally Hitler?
It is time to officially recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel.
Trump's bending over backwards to please Zionists and Jews, just like Hitler did. What? Yeah, anyway, here's a list of groups and people furious at Trump's decision to move the embassy to Jerusalem. Turkey's Islamist President Erdogan, Saudi King Salman bin Abdulaziz, ISIS, Hamas, globalist political leaders, virtually the entire political left, the mainstream media.
Totally erratic decision by this president.
And Muslims in general. Hashtag not all Muslims. What an upstanding alliance. I'm so proud to be a part of it. Erdogan was right when he accused Trump of throwing the region into a ring of fire, and he'd know all about that, having covertly provided direct military, financial and logistical support to ISIS for years. But what Trump's done is beyond insane. He's playing with fire. Hamas has threatened to open the gates of hell because they've never done that before. Oh, but aside from all that, how stupid is it that Jerusalem could be considered the capital of Israel? It's not like Israel won a war or something to secure exactly that. It's not like Jerusalem is where the Prime Minister of Israel lives. It's not like Jerusalem is where all their government agencies are based. It's not like Jerusalem is where their parliament sits. It's not like Jerusalem was the capital of the Kingdom of Israel, the site of the temple, and the wellspring of Judaic thought for millennia. None of that is true. Islam is a religion of peace, and if any violence happens, it's Donald Trump's fault.
That's all I got to say.
Literally Hitler. I love the way he says that. That's my favorite.
Yeah, I mean, folks, we bring this to you because this is the common sense. This is what it really is all about. Exposing the hypocrisy, the nonsense, the fake news. And this leads us into more fake news.
See, they would have gotten away with it, though. They would have gotten away with it if it were not for social media. You got all the platforms, YouTube. This was a YouTube video, right?
Oh, yeah.
On Paul Joseph Watson's channel. And then, of course, it gets spread around on Twitter and Facebook. And without these social media platforms, which is kind of ironic because the people that have created them and now own them and run them, and all the people that they hire are anti-Semites, they're anti-conservative, they're anti-Trump, and they're desperately trying to support the narrative that you heard Paul Joseph Watson basically make fun of.
Right.
And then he shows historic examples of how fake they are, how wrong they are, and how long did it take for him to do this? What, a day?
Maybe a day or two. Maybe.
We learn in a day that all this narrative that Donald Trump is a bad person for keeping his promises, we learn instantly, very, very, very quickly. So it's just not working for them. They're going to have to try to censor us, which they are.
Yes.
That's the only way it's going to work out.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. That is so awesome. So kudos to him for putting that together.
So Donald Trump, this is only about a minute long, but Donald Trump put this on his Twitter. He tweeted this, and I honestly, I don't know. I don't know if the chicken came before the egg, they came before the chicken, but I mean, obviously this montage is out there, but did Paul Joseph take it from Trump, or did Trump take it from him?
I don't know.
I'm not sure, but this is what Donald Trump tweeted out about this whole Israel ordeal.
Jerusalem is still the capital of Israel and must remain an undivided city accessible to all.
As soon as I take office, I will begin the process of moving the United States ambassador to the city Israel as chosen as its capital.
I continue to say that Jerusalem will be the capital of Israel, and I have said that before, and I will say it again.
And Jerusalem will remain the capital of Israel, and it must remain undivided.
We will move the American embassy to the eternal capital of the Jewish people, Jerusalem.
Therefore, I have determined that it is time to officially recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. While previous presidents have made this a major campaign promise, they failed to deliver. Today, I am delivering. I've judged this course of action to be in the best interests of the United States of America and the pursuit of peace between Israel and the Palestinians. This is a long overdue step to advance the peace process and to work towards a lasting agreement.
That is from Donald Trump's Twitter account. So I'm just saying, to tell the Palestinians, to let Palestinians, to let the world know, no, you can't have this. No, you cannot have this, and America will stop you from trying to take this.
I don't understand what the people who are criticizing Trump on this think that they look like. I mean, what are you doing? What message are you trying to say? Are you just anti-Semitic? Or I know you're not so stupid to think that by doing this that somehow you can further tear down what you think you're doing to Donald Trump by just criticizing his every move.
Right.
I mean, he's making the world great again.
Yes.
And you're opposing that because what? I mean,
But Kerry, he's following through with his promises.
Okay.
It's not good.
It's going to get to the point now where a lot of the smaller promises that they're basically trying to prevent a Donald Trump presidency from happening by not allowing him to do anything. And so every time something happens that he is responsible for, such as declaring Jerusalem to be the capital of Israel, and when that's
moving the ambassador, the U.S. ambassador there.
Yeah, so when he does things like that, it then becomes problematic for them to oppose him on just about anything, even the smaller stuff like, oh, you're trying to repeal Obamacare, or you're trying to do tax reform, you're trying to balance the budget. You know, these are relatively small things compared to like the big thing that everybody, like nobody can oppose that. How can you oppose the big things like that? And so now all of a sudden, when we get to the small things, you start to look like those idiots, those anti-Semites who are just crapping all over him because of what he does with Israel. That's what I think is the good about this. Yes. I think some good will come of that. So
no, absolutely. And the fake news was out in droves this week. Donald Trump went down to Florida. I don't know if you guys saw it. I believe it's Pensacola, Florida. Did a rally down there. And for those of you who are on Periscope, you will be able to see what a reporter, Dave Weigel, blue checkmark,
he's got like 400 followers.
Right, had tweeted out. See, apparently, so Donald Trump went to Pensacola, did a rally, and he said the crowd was to the rafters.
Okay.
And so Dave Weigel tweeted out, packed to the rafters?
And the picture, we're all looking at it right now, right?
Right.
So, yeah, you could see the picture is very, very empty. Looks like the floor is getting pretty packed, but almost nobody in the stands whatsoever, even at the lowest levels. Just a little, I could see a couple dotted in here and there.
So Trump didn't like that.
Well, I wouldn't either, especially if it's not true.
Especially if it's not true.
But I'm looking at the picture, Brian. How could it not be true? Would they Photoshop that?
They actually took it hours before Trump was to arrive.
Of course they did.
And Trump tweeted out the real picture.
Okay.
Multiple pictures, not just this one, but it was multiple pictures of the crowd. This is unbelievable that our President Trump has to deal with this nonsense. This is a nonsense.
So I'm just now seeing it. I got a delay over here on my Periscope. Yeah, that pretty much looks like what he described, packed to the rafters.
Right?
Okay, so here's the thing. Stop it. You liars. Every single time, whether it's the inauguration or any of his rallies or just any, they know that it's going to look like there's a rally going on if they take a picture before it starts, but it's not going to be full. So they take a picture, or like when you wave, they take a picture of somebody waving, but if your elbow's straight, you get the elbows. Oh, it's a Nazi salute.
Oh no,
it's a Nazi salute.
No, you didn't.
Oh yeah. So anytime a conservative waves to the crowd, I learned this from Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh said that he always tells everybody, and he does this himself, whenever you're in public and you start to wave at a crowd, you want to keep your elbow at no less than a 90 degree, I should say no more than a 90 degree angle. Sometimes less. Sometimes you want to go like this. Now, this is about a 20 degree angle right here.
Right.
If you could see that, like a 20 degree angle. If you go beyond 90 degrees, you're risking it, man. You're risking it. You're going to get that Nazi salute picture. You go a little bit more. Oh, forget about it. And that's what they do. This is what the mainstream media does.
Oh,
you get the Nazi.
brutal.
So you get the picture that's hours before the inauguration picture. Okay. I don't think that he had more people at his inauguration than Obama did, especially his first inauguration, because there was a lot of historic things with Obama, even though there was with Trump too. But also, 93% of the residents in D.C. are Democrat. Okay, that is just a fact that we have to deal with. So it doesn't surprise me that Obama, who's nowhere near as popular of a president as Donald Trump, not even as famous worldwide, would have less at his inauguration. That totally makes sense to me. But it doesn't matter, because even if the numbers were in favor of Obama, the picture that was taken has been proven to be taken at least an hour before the inauguration started. So they do this. It's every time. It's become boring. Like, oh, here we go again with the early picture. You're banal. Look that up. That's not sexual. You're so banal.
So so now what you're looking at right now is a twist of logic, folks. David Weigel, this is Donald Trump tweeting this out. David Weigel at Washington Post put out a phony photo of an empty arena hours before I arrived at the venue, with thousands of people outside on their way in. Real photos, now shown as I spoke, packed the house. Many people unable to get in demand apology and retract from fake news WaPo.
Real quick, this is a story I've told on this show a long time ago, and I want to repeat it because it's so relevant. When we went to go see Donald Trump in Sharonville, no, you saw him in Sharonville, didn't you?
Right.
Yeah, I saw
no,
him.
You did. You went to
so
Sharonville.
I went to Sharonville. The room was not very big, and I got in there late because I was volunteering. So I was in the VIP section because I was volunteering, and I had to snake my way through the crowd. But because I was walking in right before some of the speakers started speaking, I saw how full the place was. And there was a gap in the back. This was just a floor. There were no seats, just an open floor.
Right.
And there was a gap of empty floor space in the very back. So I knew that there was technically theoretical room for more people. Okay. Turns out, I found out later that the reason there were no more people filling in that little empty space in the back was because that room had reached capacity and the fire marshal would not allow more people in there.
Right.
That makes sense. It's understandable. But when Trump came out, he said that there's so many people in here and it's so packed that we had to have a separate room where they're telecasting his speech, and that he's going to go right after the speech and go greet them in person. And I honestly thought he was lying.
Oh!
I thought he was lying. I was like, oh, you know what? It's good for theater. It's good for theater. Guess what happened when I got home?
I was going to say, never go full.
I got home and I saw the footage from the rally. He went and there was another room. Yeah. There was another room that was completely jam-packed, and they showed him standing on a platform, like a box.
Right.
So everybody could see him like he drug over a little milk crate. Milk crate, and stood on this, and he shook a bunch of people's hand, he waved everybody, and he got like some makeshift microphone, he started talking into it. There really was another room. I didn't see the other room at all. I thought he was lying. I really did. Turns out he was telling the truth.
When he came to Cincinnati to the arena or the convention center,
the Fifth Third Arena,
yeah. Some of the mainstream media were screaming, "Oh, look at that down on the floor! It's not completely full." What there are a lot of times there are not allowed to be an X amount of people down on the floor in that open area.
There's a maximum capacity for all these different areas.
You can't be shoulder to shoulder. This isn't a rock concert, shoulder to shoulder.
Or as we say in the military, a-hole to belly button.
Yeah, you can't. No, this ain't what this is.
Well, at some point, you get to a certain capacity, and if there was like a fire or some sort of emergency where people had to evacuate very quickly, this would cause massive death.
Right.
Because of the trampling and all that.
And we are not making excuses. I'm not trying to sugarcoat this. I'm just saying
it was like 20,000. There was 20,000 people there. At minimum 16,000 people.
Right.
Minimum. Yeah. It was the biggest rally I think of his entire that I know of. I don't think I knew of any rally that was bigger than one in Cincinnati. The one at Fifth Third.
Right.
So
it's something else that came out this week, and Don Jr. had to retweet this out. Little Brian Stelter.
I'm shocked he hasn't blocked me yet.
I used to call him Stelzer, but it's not Stelzer. It's Stelter.
Stetson. He smells like a man.
No, he does not.
But he looks like a woman. I'm just saying. I'm not judging.
You'll never see him and Rosie in the same room.
Well, and the thing is I don't think he ever shaved ever in his life.
Still doesn't need to.
No.
So little Brian Stelter, he had this guy David Fulcrum on his show, and he tweeted out. This was the tweet, Brian Stelter tweet. Here's the context for David Fulcrum's remark that mistakes are precisely the reason that people should trust the media. He's saying corrections show journalists are trying to get to the truth. Journalism is the process, Kerry.
Hold on.
You need to trust the news, Kerry.
If you didn't know anything else, I would tend to say, okay, I'll go along with you. I'll buy that. But here's the problem. This is done very, very carefully because you have to compare it to reality. The reality is that people generally believe the first thing that they hear, and the corrections are massively delayed on purpose because people, and they also bury it in the newspaper.
They'll bury a correction.
Yeah, like page 13 or whatever. And a lot of times if it's on air, they'll do it in a way that is not picked up. And even if it is done front and center, a lot of times there's not enough context to even know what correction they're talking about. And they do this on purpose because they know that the lie is going to get halfway around the world while the truth is getting its trousers on, as Mark Twain put it way back in the day. And so because of this, they'll do it on purpose. A lot of times they'll come out with something that's completely factually false. They're okay. They know it's false. They'll release it anyway because it fits the narrative. It pushes the agenda that they want. And then when they're hoping nobody calls it out on. That's what they're hoping.
Right.
They're like, please don't let anybody find out that we're lying. And then when they are called out, then they're like, okay, let's deny, ignore. And then at the very last moment, when the damage is done, then we'll have a tiny little blurb about a retraction. And so the idea that they're constantly going back and forth and honing in on the truth is a bald-faced lie. Totally bald-faced lie.
So bad that Don Jr. quoted the tweet and said, if they were really trying to get to the truth, you'd think they would reach out to the other side before running with it. They all have my phone number. They couldn't care less about the truth. And that's the truth. They could care less. And so here's what I'm talking about. And this is what, folks, this is going to blow your mind. Listen to this interaction with Miss Stelter.
No. How dare you assume his gender identity?
Her, it's them, at. Z's gender.
Yes.
This is the Stelter doing mental gymnastics with his guest.
David, what's your advice for journalists in this situation and for readers?
I have more advice for readers. You asked the question, Brian, given these mistakes, why should people trust the media? And I would say the mistakes are precisely the reason that people should trust the media. Look, astronomers make mistakes all the time because science is a process of discovery of truth. Astrologers never make mistakes, or at least they never own up to them, because what they are offering is a closed system of ideology and propaganda.
What the hell?
Did you want to comment, Carrie?
Pretty much the same. I mean, he's making it sound like they're trying to get to the truth. If they didn't know that what they said was a lie, and as Donald Trump Jr. says, they're doing a story about me. They have my phone number. They never called me. They ran with it without even asking me about the accuracy of it. They're clearly trying to get by. You know what this is? This is like the Flat Earth documentary.
Right.
It was run on April Fool's Day.
Nice.
Which they did on purpose because it was a joke. And it turns out a lot of people have really bought into it. And
I know somebody personally.
It's become a religion for those people. And so the point is that you get it out there and you get the people believing it. So the idea that these people were hoping and trying to get to the truth when they knew that it was not truthful is like trying to say that the Flat Earth Theory documentary producers were trying to figure out if the Earth was really round. And so this is what they came out with. And at some point they're going to get to a correction because it's science, man. We're just trying to get to the truth. Come on, they knew the Earth isn't flat.
Right. So this is more of the insanity.
Wrongdoing circled by lies. The process of piercing the lies to uncover the truth about the wrongdoing is inherently not only difficult but adversarial because the people who are trying to find the truth are operating against bad faith actors engaged in concealment. So they get partial pieces of the truth. In the process, there are going to be overshoots and undershoots. That Bloomberg Reuters story you mentioned about Deutsche Bank.
Right.
Donald Trump holds most of his debt through Trump-related entities, not personally. So we don't know exactly what Deutsche Bank was subpoenaed to release, but it is not exactly wrong to say that when you get a Trump-related entity, you're getting something about Trump. Nonetheless, error of emphasis. But it's the process of bringing truth to light. Meanwhile, from the president and his supporters, you hear a system of lies. So they're not well placed to complain because the mistakes occur in the process of exposing the lies, that the liars then complain about the mistakes.
So the premise is that he's reporting on liars, yes. But he has no evidence of that. He's just saying that they're liars because they're saying the opposite of what he's reporting. Meanwhile, they got to go back and fix the mistakes they made. So the fact that they're reporting that these people are liars based on the opposite reporting, that they're reporting the opposite of what the people they're calling liars are saying.
Right.
Then they go back and they have to fix their mistakes.
Right.
So you're basically just verifying that not only were you wrong in your reporting, but now you're lying to us about the honesty of the people you're reporting about.
Right.
Unbelievable. David Frum is a special kind of propagandist.
Yeah, and I mean he's there with Brian, little Brian, trying to make things happen. Trying to spin the spin as much as they can possibly spin.
Can we do a GoFundMe for a toupee for him? Because I just can't stand it.
It's awful.
I mean, I'm not just trying. It's just.
There comes a point in time to where you have to go completely bald. Just shave it all off. He's got a goofy. And you know what?
He looks like Ned Ryerson.
Right. He sure does. Not everybody looks good bald. I understand that. But when you're hanging on to the little bit on the sides, you gotta the Simpsons, the neighbor, the religious neighbor.
That was Ned, what too, wasn't it? Ned something, wasn't it? I don't know.
Ned Niederlander. Little Nettie. That's the Three Amigos. Sorry.
Oh, that's right.
Getting my movies mixed up.
Yeah, that's right. I was trying. It's like I knew that word from somewhere.
I know Ned Niederlander.
Right. He was the famous guy, the famous gunslinger. Right. Yeah, the
fastest one.
Fastest.
Oh, watch the Three Amigos with your kids. Good times, folks. Good times.
It's great children's movie.
So more fake news? Yes, Donald Trump exposing fake news all week long. I mean, he's working overtime It's exposing this, and I consider this fake. Where we at? Oh, there we are. It is complete fake news in the sense that it was a hoax, it was a lie, and it was propagated by CNN, MSNBC, all the news media outlets that wanted to destroy Roy Moore. Literally gave this woman a platform to...
I take it a step further. I think this was a full-on, all hands on deck. Excuse me. I think this was like a conspiracy. It was a full-blown conspiracy. I think they all knew what they were doing, what they were trying to do, and they were all in it together. I think they all knew what the reality was, and they all knew what the story was going to be, and they all ran with it, and they all did their part.
Right. And Jack Posobiec tweeted out, exposed. Text messages confirm Jeb Bush staffer at Tim, the letter O, DC, Tim ODC, was behind the Washington Post story on Roy Moore per Big League poll.
Yeah, Big League Politics.
Yep.
It was the article that they came out with. Yeah, it turns out Tim Miller, right?
Yep.
I did a scope on that a couple days ago. So Tim Miller is a staffer for Jeb Bush, and he was the one that was behind orchestrating the woman who accused Roy Moore of molesting her.
So he found her?
Here's
he worked with her to get this?
I'm going to report to you what I think happened. I don't have the proof of this, but if you put all the pieces together, this makes the most sense. What I think happened was the Washington Post and whatnot and whoever else put out this blanket campaign in Alabama to try to see that if we drag $1 through a trailer park.
Oh, no, you did it!
Seriously, what happened was they said we will pay anywhere from $5,000 to $7,000.
We played the audio on the show. Oh, yeah.
And so they literally drug $1 through. Carville was actually kind of giving up the playbook back then.
Right.
When he said, you drag $1 through a trailer park and see what you get. That's literally what they were doing. They said, let's offer up $5,000 to $7,000 for anybody who can fabricate a story or whatever. Just if you got some sort of story that you can tell us about Roy Moore, it could be worth up to $7,000.
Right.
Let's see what kind of bites we get.
Right.
A woman calls up and says, I know Roy Moore. I remember him.
I got his signature and everything.
Well, no, there's more to that. I think that somebody named Roy signed her yearbook and signed it Roy. Then she went, and keep in mind, this woman had her divorce court in Roy Moore's court. She has a document signed by Roy Moore.
Right.
And so she has a signature and says DA at the end of it, which is kind of funny. And she then went back to her yearbook, found this entry by a Roy, and it just so happens, it was just maybe a coincidence that the R is roughly similar. It's a cursive R.
Right.
And that's probably the way they learned how to write their R's in cursive in that general area. She then went and took the Moore from his name with a different but similar color ink pen, traced out the Moore to make it look like it was his signature, put DA on it, put the date, and then put Old Tavern in
Was he a DA then?
No. The DA...
Is district attorney? No.
She thought that was part of his signature. Turns out the DA was the initials of his assistant at the court back then. She didn't know. She didn't know. She had no idea. She didn't know. So she wrote DA because she thought that was part of his signature.
Right.
Not knowing that was the initials from his assistant in the court.
Oh, no.
She then goes on to put the date. She puts the Old Tavern or whatever at the bottom. And then goes and says, see, look, it's in my yearbook. He signed it. Look, it's all sexual in nature. It's in innuendo. It's a double entente, all this stuff. Because if you read the actual entry, it's kind of, something that a Roy Moore at the time shouldn't probably be writing in a high school yearbook.
Sure.
Right.
And so, come to find out, he didn't.
Well, yes, she finally admit that she entered. Now, here's the thing. Here's the leap. Some people will say, well, Carrie, she's saying that she wrote in the date and she wrote in the tavern. But that doesn't take away from the fact that Roy Moore wrote all the rest of it. Here's the problem with that. The original discovery by Thomas Wichter and somebody named Ali Akbar's taking credit. I don't know. Maybe he did. I don't know. Maybe Ali Akbar was the first one to come out with it. I don't know. But he's the one taking the victory lap, and that's fine. I'll give whoever credit, whoever came up with it, is the different color inks. The ink color is different on the date in the Old Tavern. That's fine. But if you look at the signature Roy Moore, Roy is written in the ink of the whole post, the original post.
Right.
Moore, the color matches the date in the tavern.
No.
Yes.
Oh.
So to me, that's proof positive that this whole entire thing is completely fabricated. And she did it because she was offered $7,000. Now, after the fact, Washington Post said, okay, we got a woman. We got a woman who has some evidence, some forensic, she's got a yearbook. She knew him. They were in the same area. She's the right age. Let's start with this narrative. Let's get it going. They then call up their friends over at CNN and MSNBC and say, we got to make this. What's our narrative? How are we going to make this happen? And so all of it was just a big, giant conspiracy. And Gloria Allred was involved. She must have known.
How does Gloria Allred not have her law license revoked?
She might even need to be facing jail time, I think.
Especially if she had something to do with this.
Oh, this all was coordinated. The whole thing.
So we've got citizen journalism on the YouTubes, and a citizen journalist put this together for us today on the montage and the words, and you'll see how it goes.
Well, Pepper points out that she should have used some of the money for acting lessons.
Yeah, I would say so.
Can you say flatly to our viewers right now, Gloria, that the signature, what he wrote in that yearbook in 1977, according to her, can you say flatly that was not a forgery?
Well, all I'm saying is we will permit an independent examiner
No, you won't.
No, you won't. Never did.
Writing.
Party. Here are the signatures. The one on the bottom is the one in the yearbook. The other ones are his signature from 2017 and 1999.
Okay, so this is CNN trying to prove this is Roy Moore.
Okay, see the one on the right that says Roy Moore Circuit Judge, and it says Roy Moore, and it's very curly Q. This is why the Roy at the bottom doesn't look the same as the Roy on the top. But either one of them, see the big curly huge loop on the Y?
Yeah.
Because whoever Roy was in the bottom signature was a different Roy.
Yep.
Now, the Moore part, which should be done in different color ink, it's hard to tell on this one, but there's one where the light's hitting it just right. Notice on the top right one, on the circuit judge one, it says / and DA. That was an initial by his assistant. I think it was like a Deborah or something like that. And so the woman who forged the name, which is the forgery on the bottom, had in her possession the court documents that you see on the right. And that's why the DA is in there on the forgery.
Wow. Oh, and so she put in the one on the bottom.
Yes.
It says Roy Moore, but no /DA, just
she
DA.
Put DA because she
thinking
thought
that was district attorney.
Yeah. Well, she thought that the DA had something to do with his signature, so she included it to try to make it look like it was definitely his signature. But the problem is that it proves that it was not him. Because DA, the person who put their initials DA in there, would not have done that to her yearbook.
Okay, CNN.
And he says that DA that you see in the 1999 one was his assistant, so that the bottom one was forged later, basically, is his contention. So he wants you to turn it over to a third-party expert analysis. Will you do that?
Well, we immediately said that if the United States Senate selects on Ethics and/or the United States Senate Judiciary Committee would hold a hearing, we would be very happy to turn the yearbook over.
No.
Okay.
no.
I wanted to make this a point because we talked about this on a show, last show, the show before. She just said, and she said before, if they would hold hearings, because my woman wants a day in court to face, they want hearings. She wants hearings. Gloria Allred is involved in this 100%. And in order you couldn't bring hearings on a citizen. Roy Moore is a citizen. You can't bring hearings.
And she would have known that. And this is just an attempt to mask the fact that she can't give this to independent experts, and that as long as she can make it to the election,
drag it to
the election, that's all this is about. This isn't about proving the case at all. It's about trying to get the lie to the public to be believable until they have to go to the ballot box.
Right.
Does your client, Beverly Young Nelson, remember him signing it?
She remembers being with him. It was on the counter. She alleges that he took it, that he signed it, and she was thrilled that he had signed it because, as far as she knew, he was a DA, and that was an important position.
So she saw
I don't
him
think
sign
at
it.
the time she had a clue whether he was an assistant DA.
But the DA is Roy Moore's assistant's name.
This
is
a
Gloria
huge
Allred
stretch.
She is caught red. This is in my book. Gloria Allred. This is red-handed dirtbag
She
stuff.
needs to go. She
For a
needs to
DA.
get in trouble for this.
But he signed it. She took it. As far as she knows, I mean, there's no reason for her to think it's anything but his signature.
But did she see him sign it?
I don't. I haven't asked her if she saw him, but we did describe
This
what
citizen
happened
journalism
that
putting this together,
evening
folks.
in question. That what she alleges was that she put it on the counter. That I think that he asked to sign, or that he did sign it. That's all.
Because it seems like you're not 100% sure that it is his signature. And if you're not 100% sure that it is his signature, why would you show it at a press conference?
You know,
this girl's fired. This girl's so fired.
This is the same woman who was trying to interview Trump, and she was trying to get the I just want to.
This
refugees, and then Trump's like, "Are you going to get it out? Are you going to spit it? Are you going to air this? Come on, you got to do your job."
I
girl.
wish I had it queued up. I'm really sorry I don't. There's the very beginning of the movie Spies Like Us with Chevy Chase. He does a press conference, I believe at the White House.
Yes, he does.
And he fakes that the microphone was cutting out on him, and it was all stuttery, and you couldn't yeah.
Cue it up while I finish the rest of this. Let's finish the rest of this Q&A.
Well, why does anybody doubt that it is his signature?
Well, Roy Moore's campaign is saying, and Roy Moore himself is saying, it's not his signature.
So right now, Trent Garman, our attorney, has sent a letter, or is sending a letter, to Gloria Allred demanding that the yearbook be released. We'll send it to a neutral custodian who'll keep chain of custody, and our professional expert will examine it, and we'll find out, is it genuine or is it a fraud? There are a couple things that you need to look at. Look at the 1977 after Merry Christmas. Look at those two sevens. And then look below at the 77. And I want to ask you, do you think it was written by the same person? I want you to look at Old Hickory House, which they say Judge Moore wrote.
God knows, and Roy knows, and I know what happened.
Young's proof that she knew more, her yearbook with this inscription. But Moore and his supporters have called into question that inscription, noting the writing under the signature appears to be different.
Let's look at Beverly Nelson. Everybody knows her yearbook is a forgery.
Nelson says she did make notes to the inscription, but the message was all Roy Moore.
Okay, listen, they'll play that over again. When they repeat something, it's because this is the damaging evidence.
Beverly, he signed your yearbook.
He did sign it.
And you made some notes underneath.
Yes.
You made some notes underneath.
Yes.
I think Roy Moore is innocent. I think Roy Moore is innocent. I had my doubts, but I always said someone's innocent until proven guilty. He's innocent. The people of Alabama have no reason not to vote for Roy Moore now. He's innocent. His main accuser is a big fat liar. And I think all of them are now.
Yep.
Gloria Allred and all these people, if she's forging it to make Roy Moore look bad, then this was clearly a smear job from the establishment.
And you can't believe any of them.
Washington, D.C. insiders to try and sabotage the Alabama election.
Trump Fan Network.
To hurt Trump.
Cannibalism is a serious issue and is very dangerous to the health and well-being of both the cannibal and the victim.
What is she talking about?
That really was her back in the day. They threw that. I left that in there because I thought it was funny. She did do this back in the day. She said cannibalism is detrimental to the cannibal and the victim. And the victim.
Are they going to be able to see the video on this or just play the audio?
Just play the audio.
All right, let's see if it comes up. Oh, I don't know if it'll play now.
Ladies and gentlemen, as of this afternoon, the Undersecretary for South American Affairs emphatically denies any and all intervention in the current realignment of top positions in the Paraguayan Air Force. Thank you very much.
Wait. What about the Paraguayan Army's request for spraying subsidies?
Are there any Paraguayans here? No? Well, of course, their request for subsidies was not Paraguayan, as it were. The United States government would never have, if our president had not, and as far as I know, that's the way it'll always be. Is that clear?
How can you say we aren't spending millions on spraying when the International Wheat Board has reported, and I quote, extensive contamination in the grain fields of southern Argentina?
The state ever... Microphone's cutting out on us. I'm awfully sorry. However, unstate. I must go.
So that was Chevy Chase and Spies Like Us when he was doing the press conference. And that end, when you heard it all breaking up, that was him actually saying that. There was nothing wrong with the microphone.
No. So, he had to get out of there.
Yeah, he didn't want to answer any more questions. And kind of Gloria Allred was pulling that off pretty well.
Got to get to going.
Yeah, woo, got a lunch date. Got to go.
So Roy Moore tweeted out this past week, boyfriend at the time says she lied. Employees of the restaurant that she said she worked at.
What about the...
said she lied.
Didn't she have a stepson or something that came out early on?
Customers of the restaurant said she lied. Her stepson says she lied. Now herself admitting to lying.
This is her star witness. They're the entire left, the Uniparty, the rhinos. This is their star witness. Their very star witness. All the rest of them kind of fade in the background. If this woman... who they had to have known there were problems with the story. I agree with the guy who created that video that we were just listening to. I think they gotta all be lying. Like if this is going to be their star witness, then they have to all be
y'all
bad.
messed up. Y'all messed up on the fake news. So and at the end of Roy Moore's tweet, because tweets go on forever now. Let's count how many national outlets will ignore the fact that she admitted to lying. I don't know. I mean, I'm waiting for a full retraction from every single outlet.
Oh, that's not going to happen. Well, and the thing is, it's not so much a retraction. They'll probably say, well, we reported on what the facts were at the time.
And I know we reported on it 96 million seconds versus nothing else.
Right. And it's not about the nature of the evidence. It's about the seriousness of the allegations.
And those allegations were serious.
Yes, this is so serious. When it's bad enough that you're literally Hitler.
Right.
But when you're a pedophile, forget about it. You're just automatically guilty.
Oh, yeah.
Automatically.
So I don't know who mans the account Steve Bannon, SteveBannen.
The fake one? The parody one that
Is that
seems,
the...
I don't...
It's spelled... His name's spelled incorrectly.
Oh, is it?
Well, B-A-N... I thought it was B-A-N-N-O-N, and I thought it was Stephen, S-T-E-P-H-E-N-K Bannon.
I don't know which one's real. In fact, I think they're all fake but the funny thing is it almost seems like the real Steve Bannon made an account on Twitter and then called it a parody just so that he could use it. Just so he could use Twitter.
He may have.
He called his own account a parody, I think. I don't know. I'm speculating here. Speculating.
He absolutely may have. That is funny. That is good
If I
stuff.
was Steve Bannon himself, I probably would do that. I would probably call my real account a parody and then see what I could get away with. I mean, people quote it all the time in their tweets. They put the @SteveBannon user. Is that the one that you're talking about? It's like @SteveBannon or something like
right.
that. And it's the parody one, but it's really popular. Has a lot of followers, and it tweets out a lot, and it's funny. And the funniest thing about it is that whenever somebody tries to tag the real Steve Bannon in a tweet, they incorrectly attribute that tag to the tweet, and it just a big hilarity ensues, basically. So nobody knows for sure.
So the quote from Steve Bannon, or the tweet from Steve Bannon, Roy Moore's win in Alabama will be the second to the biggest FU, and he spelled it out, by the way.
Oh, he didn't spell out the letter F and then U.
No, he used all the other letters involved.
But we know the real Steve Bannon would do that too.
Yeah, true. In the face of the corrupt establishment, biggest FU was Donald Trump.
Biggest, okay. Second biggest is the election of Roy
Moore.
Yeah.
And if you are listening, folks, if you're listening to this on iHeartRadio or listening to this audio only, at the very beginning of the show, I played edited version of Michael Moore in his speech, where the downtrodden American, the lost his job and lost his wife and lost his kids, and under 8 years of Obama, completely destroyed. And Donald Trump is the human muzzled off cocktail.
Right. Mm-hmm.
By
the way, I think that audio may have had a large contribution to Donald Trump winning. Just saying.
When we were driving to that rally up there in Columbus, that was the first time I heard that, when you played that.
The one where we went to Springfield?
What, was it Springfield? I thought it was Columbus.
No.
It was early in the morning, and I called in sick to work. I don't work there anymore.
Oh.
Not only that, he can go to hell.
Yeah, but your new employment might say, what? Is this what Brian does?
It don't make no, never mind.
Yeah,
anyway, so but it is such an incredible. It makes the case for why we voted Trump.
Absolutely.
And why you should. I know I don't like Michael Moore at all. He's despicable. He's disgusting. He's hard to look at. And he's a big liar.
Well, and here's the thing about that audio. It went around the internet 5 times. The World Wide Web. It circulated everywhere until all of a sudden somebody said, you do realize that's out of context. I even argued. I argued against the guy who said it was out of context. I said, it's 4.5 minutes long. How could it possibly be out of context? How do you take a uninterrupted 4.5 minute long audio out of context?
That I don't know.
Turns out the guy was right.
It is out of context.
It is out of context. He was trying to say that even though that's the way you feel, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't vote for him. But guess what? He went too far with it, and people felt like Michael Moore was endorsing him.
How do you not get that? How do you?
he just went too far with it. He went full on method acting.
Right. And I honest to God, honestly, I have no idea how you do not. Beyond me, folks. Anyway, so I played that, and that has, it really has something to do with this whole Roy Moore thing. I know early on I said, I don't care about this Roy Moore thing. It's not that big a deal. People now, and we even said it on the show, people in Alabama are going to do what they're going to do. So we live in Cincinnati. We got nothing to do with Roy Moore. I'm here to say, folks, I'm wrong.
Really?
We live in Cincinnati, and we have everything to do with Roy Moore. Because Roy Moore, President Roy, down the future.
Oh, you think he might be president one day? Yeah, don't call. Look, if you're going to open up a Twitter account, don't call it Brian for Senate.
No, he did more for more Senate.
Yeah, more Senate. And the problem is,
because he could be president.
Yeah, it's going to be a little awkward when President Moore's Twitter handle is more Senate. It's going to be a little awkward.
It'd have to be deleted.
Where you just start tweeting from @POTUS.com. Or, @POTUS on Twitter.
Right, there you go.
So, yeah.
So, but Roy Moore has everything to do with us. He is part of the movement.
Well, not only that, but if you want to get right down to it, whenever you run for your states, for the Senate, the U.S. Senate,
right,
doesn't really matter so much what state you're from, because you're going to be voting on matters that affect the whole country, because you're doing this for the federal government. You just represented, or you're representing your state. But his vote absolutely affects us, which means the votes in Alabama affect us.
Right. So the big deep state, if you will, the underbelly of the Jeb Bushes, the Mitch McConnells and the John McCains, all of the dirty guys that are part of the Uniparty did not want Roy Moore whatsoever, because he would actually cancel out John McCain. And they can't have that because John McCain is bought and paid for, and Roy Moore certainly is not bought and paid for. So that being that, as we move real quick, I wanted to get to the Washington Examiner. The dossier author was in contact. The Russian dossier, just shifting gears real quick, more fake news because we're going to wrap this up. The Russian dossier, remember the Golden Shower Gate thing?
Of course.
Yeah, the author was in contact with Obama's Justice Department. Dan Bongino tweeted out, "Make no mistake, this is an enormous scandal. If the dossier was used in a FISA affidavit, and then the DOJ and the FBI were effectively hijacked by the Clinton campaign, the DNC, #Russiagate." Okay, this gets deep and it gets a little hairy, but follow me here. Judge Napolitano actually came out and talked about this to Fox News. He said there's 3 intel sources have disclosed that President Obama that's even worse. That's the second half of it. Okay, never mind. So here's what's going on. Apparently someone in the author of the dossier that was paid for by the Clintons worked with Obama's Justice Department, the FBI, and the CIA to make it real.
Well, what?
And
there were
staged, literally using this dossier to help stage the coup to overthrow Trump.
I'm sorry, but I gotta not believe it, because it was so poorly done that no journalist even believed it was real. They all knew it was fake.
Well, the Washington Examiner is reporting on this.
I think that's kind of hilarious and amateur hour if they worked with the actual intelligence agencies to make it look real, and they couldn't even convince journalists.
Well, Byron York, dossier author, was in contact with Obama's Justice Department. Byron York's a good guy. He's a real guy, good guy.
He's a real guy.
Yeah, real guy. He said, it's been 10 months since Washington learned of the former British spy, Christopher Steele, author of the Trump dossier, took the Clinton-funded opposition research document to the FBI, which considered sponsoring the anti-Trump work. at the height of the 2016 presidential campaign. Now, congressional investigators have made what is perhaps an even more consequential discovery. Knowledge of the dossier project during the campaign extends into the highest level of the Obama Justice Department.
I guess that doesn't surprise me. And that's the thing. It makes sense that the Obama Justice Department, in their attempt, by the way, this is the same government that tried to make a fake birth certificate look real. Now they're making a fake dossier look real, and both are epic failures.
Right. So you know you remember the name Yates?
Yes.
Okay. Well, her deputy, she was the, I believe, Sally Yates.
Yeah. She was a real winner.
Bruce O-H-R, someone just call him Orr. Bruce Orr, that's his name. So Bruce was the deputy attorney just below Sally Yates. And his office was, you could throw a paper airplane into Sally Yates' office. He worked with her for her.
Okay.
He was in contact with Christopher Steele and the beeping dossier gate.
Oh.
And it was learned by the Justice Department. And then he was demoted because of it.
Oh. Okay. So now we have pretty much the proof we need to know that the Russian dossier was not just some fanfic.
No.
This was something.
They wanted us to believe it was a 4chan fanfic, no big deal.
Do you think that they took
As
it from 4chan and said, "Hey, let's run with this. Let's
yes.
Let's
Yeah,
make it
sure.
look pretty.
Sure.
Let's take the premise and pretty it up."
Sure. Absolutely.
Because I don't think that Christopher Steele said, "All right, I got a blank piece of paper here. Give me my pen and let's start writing. How do we start a fake story that makes it look like a scandal about Trump?" I don't think he did that. I think the original story was that the dossier was a fanfic and there were people on 4chan, a person on 4chan, that was gloating like crazy about how a story that he came up with out of thin air
has taken traction.
Has been picked up as
Yes.
real. He was doing victory laps because they fell for it.
Right.
He was like, they got trolled and they believed it. And some people would say, well, wait a minute. Why would a story that makes Trump look bad be created by the very people who are trying to get him elected, blah, blah, blah? No. These are people who originally were trying to destroy Trump because they were like Bernie Sanders fans, and they thought maybe it might end up being Donald Trump versus Bernie Sanders and this kind of stuff. And then they all got disaffected when the DNC turned out to be completely corrupt and destroyed.
Burned Sanders.
Yeah, and so a lot of the Bernie Sanders, I actually thought that wasn't going to happen. I didn't realize the millennials were a little bit more, fluid than your traditional old school Democrats or old school Republicans. They were kind of like, we love Bernie. And then they were so angry about what had happened to him that they actually did come over to the Trump side, which is amazing. And then that's when they started learning about the differences in ideology. And as smart people that they are, started realizing, oh my God,
I can't believe I dodged a bullet.
Well, we've been getting lied to our whole life.
Yes.
Because that's what happens when you start actually listening to conservatives who know what the hell they're talking about, and you're a Marxist, but not because you read Marx and said, oh my gosh, this guy has it right. It's because it's what you've been told by your teachers.
Yeah, when we were at that one a club, we were at a restaurant that serves drinks, and there was 22-year-old kid from Elder who said to me, communism and capitalism, they have a lot in common, Brian.
It's like the same side of the different coin. It's the same side of a different coin.
Yes.
Or a different side of a same coin. Something like that. No, it's more like...
Okay, now and the plot thickens. It gets deeper. Judge Napolitano reporting 3 intel sources have disclosed that President Obama went to the British Secret Service and ask them to spy on Trump.
This was reported a long time ago. So you're saying now it's verified?
Pretty much so, yeah.
So the story way back in the summer, before the election, that the Obama administration, in order to mask the fact that they wanted to spy on the Trump campaign, instead of asking the CIA to do it or the FBI to do it, they said, well, we can wipe our hands clean of this by using a foreign entity's government to do it for us, and they'll just report
with no
their
American
findings.
no American fingerprint.
It'll just look like Great Britain is performing espionage.
Right.
If it's ever found out. That's the thing. They were going to try to do it without anybody ever finding out.
And here's the thing, too, is that the Democrats never once believed, ever, that Trump could really be Trump. That he could really be just a regular person.
Well, they thought it was going to be more like a
salacious, dirty.
Well, like a Mark Cuban, like an idiot.
Oh, right.
What I'm saying, like Mark Cuban, this is the difference between somebody like a Mark Cuban and a Donald Trump. There's not an intelligence difference per se. I mean, everybody knows that Donald Trump is actually super smart. And if you listen to me and you know the story of Mark Cuban's background, he's just an idiot who was in the giant musical chairs of the .com bubble.
Right.
Was the guy that got the seat.
Right.
It was one seat.
Right.
Imagine, you know how musical chairs works, where there's a whole bunch of seats and there's one person extra. So when they all sit down, one guy's left out.
That was
the .com bubble. Right. There's 1 billion people circling around one chair.
Yeah, Mark Cuban got that.
He got the chair. Yeah. He got the chair. So he's shorted the internet bubble, and he walked away with $6 billion. And so he's always going to look like a genius wherever he goes because he can afford to make stupid, boneheaded mistakes. And but anyway, so the difference between them is that Donald Trump actually has a political ideology that he's been developing his whole entire life. If you look at the interview from Oprah back in the 80s, yeah. He kind of knew what he was talking about politically and had ideas that worked and all this. Mark Cuban is like, oh my gosh, you mean a successful billionaire can be president? Sign me up.
Yes.
Literally, that's the difference. And so you got Obama, who was looking at Trump as though he was probably more like Mark Cuban.
Right.
And he totally underestimated him because in reality, he's a guy that really has the issues hammered down solid. Look at his performances in the debates. You ask him any question, whether it was foreign policy. Remember back then they were like, oh, as soon as we get to foreign policy, Trump's going to collapse.
Fold like a cheap lawn chair.
Right. And sure enough, you start asking these really tough government-style policy questions, and he just had – not only did he have the answers, but he had details.
Right.
He had details in his answers that a lot of politicians would like steer clear of. They were scared to get into. You know, that you always talk about these third rails of politics. It's because politicians are morons and they have no real world experience.
Method actors.
Yeah, they're very good actors. They know their lines, and that's the thing. They come out and they have all their lines ready. And in the case of Hillary Clinton, you had the questions ahead of time.
Briar, you knew what was going to come up.
So she had her lines very well rehearsed,
memorized.
She rehearsed them,
like even during the campaign, she would start to answer a question with a different answer to another question, and then get back on and get back on. She didn't know where she was coming or going.
Right.
And losing it.
You throw in the hacking green loogies, and the whole thing just falls apart.
Rough. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but you had to spit it out of the cups.
So, and the other big thing in the news this week, did you hear about Trump getting impeached?
Yes. They actually drew up an article of impeachment, or maybe articles, plural, and they brought it to the floor for a vote.
Oh, yeah, it was so successful.
So he's impeached, right?
No.
Well, you just said they
Al Green, Representative Al Green out of Texas.
Okay.
Texas, you got to shut this guy down.
He's also accused of some stuff, right?
Oh, I'm sure he's got something in the closet.
I heard he was accused.
Oh, I bet. Just look at him. Creepy. a complete massive fail. Donald, this is what he wrote. He wrote, Donald John Trump, by causing such harm to the society of the United States, is unfit to be president and wants impeachment, trial, and removal from office. And Politico, who is no friend of anybody's but the left, this is their report, and I actually had to put this number in the very beginning because it really says to you how bad this was. 127 House Democrats. They just said House Democrats. 127 House Democrats overwhelmingly joined Republicans on Wednesday to defeat an attempt to impeach Donald Trump. But 58 of the 194 Democrats, says 194
These numbers
total.
are ridiculous. So we're not even talking about a mix of Republicans and Democrats. You're just referring to just House Democrats.
Yeah, there's 194 House Democrats and 58 voted to impeach. 127 voted not.
So more than double
Yes.
of Democrats in the House voted no to impeach Donald Trump.
Right. So the 58 supported the bid to consider impeachment over the objections of House Democrat leaders who viewed the measure as a distraction in a Republican-controlled Congress. See, some people are getting a little smart. They're trying to figure it out. They're saying, ooh, this ain't going to go well. The Republicans hold the House and the Senate. Come on. So the motion to sideline the measure, killing the effort, was approved 364 to 58. With 4 Democrats voting present, House Majority Leader Nancy Pelosi and Minority Whip Steny Hoyer both discouraged Democrats from supporting Mr. Green's latest attempt, saying in a rare joint statement that now is not the time to consider articles of impeachment.
So 1 out of every 6 House member voted to impeach.
Yeah.
That means 5 out of every 6 did not. More than 5 out of every 6. Yeah, that's pretty much a total landslide. Honestly, I feel like that was the mandate to do the Saturday Night Massacre. So here's the argument. We're in talks with fellow citizen journalists, and I had this conversation with a very prominent one who you guys see all the time on the interwebs. He told me that one of the things that the people who are trying to impeach Trump are trying to do is to recreate the events, the historical events that happened during the Nixon administration, so that it looks like we just have another Nixon on our hands.
Right.
And let's just cut out the middleman and just go ahead and impeach him.
Right.
And one of those is, this is one of the most important ones, is the Saturday Night Massacre. A lot of people, a lot of historians, a lot of people familiar with the Nixon impeachment feel that when Nixon fired a whole bunch of people, and they call that the Saturday Night Massacre, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Very shortly after that, he was told that they don't have the numbers to avoid impeachment. And instead of getting impeached, which, by the way, for those of you who don't remember, Nixon did not get impeached. He was told that impeachment was imminent.
It was going to happen.
And so then he resigned.
And historians look back and say that he should not have resigned and he would have been exonerated.
Right, but he was told, and the thing is nobody even knows if it's true or not.
Right, but he was part of the establishment back in the day. So if they told him what to do, he did it.
Yeah, I mean, they told him, he was basically told, look, we do not have the votes to avoid impeachment. And he said, oh my gosh, we need to save America from this disaster. I'm just going to go ahead and resign. But before I do, Ford, will you please, if I do this and you're going to be the president.
Right.
Will you please pardon me? Which, by the way, my dad was upset about that because he felt like if they had gone through the Senate hearings that he would have probably not been impeached. But anyway, so that's what happened. Here's the thing. So everybody credits the Saturday Night Massacre as a pivotal point that helped to get him impeached. And I do that in air quotes because he actually resigned because of the threat of impeachment. And they're hoping to recreate that and other things that happened during the Nixon administration in order to justify impeachment, because it'll put in people's heads, oh my gosh, we got a Nixon on our hands. We got to get rid of this guy.
Right.
So Trump and his handlers are aware of this. And because they're aware of this, they're telling Trump, you can't fire a bunch of people. It's going to look like the Saturday Night Massacre, and it's going to make you look guilty. It's going to make you look like Nixon, and it's going to make you look like you should be impeached. So they're telling him not to fire a bunch of people. But here's my thing.
Fire them.
Well, here's why. We just did an impeachment vote 6-1.
You're green lit, man. You're good to go.
I think the Saturday Night Massacre is green lit.
Yes.
I think Mueller and all these people fired.
There was an article written by the Washington Compost that talked about Mueller's just begging Trump to fire him.
Well, I mean, what are they going to do now? They just voted 6-1. Yeah. Did not bring up things. Now, you might be saying, yeah, but Kerry, if you do Saturday Night Massacre and redo the vote. I don't think so.
Nope.
I don't think so.
Nope, not at all, not at all.
I think he needs to do a Saturday Night Massacre, and I think he can come out with a speech that justifies why he's firing these people. I don't think he needs to fire them blindly and let people discuss it out. I think he should fire them, come out, and say, this is why I fired him. These people are corrupt to the core. They're destroying our government. They're using the government and its apparatus to do these things that they shouldn't be doing. And I have the right to fire them, by the way, because they're under the executive branch. And they're not independent, because if we view these departments in the executive branch to be independent of the head chief executive, which is the president of the United States, then they're not really part of the executive branch. They're in their own branch.
Right.
And without a system of checks and balances, this is totally against what our founders wanted. It's totally unconstitutional, which it is. So we need to not do this. We need to either allow the president to fire these people with complete immunity, or we need to abolish these departments altogether. If you tell me that the FBI and the CIA are departments in the executive branch that should be independent of the executive branch,
and maybe even independent of each other for the most part.
Yeah, what you're telling me is that these departments, this has become a tyranny.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree 100%.
Cut them off.
Have to cut
them. And if you don't want to cut them off, because people have told me, Kerry, you're talking about the federal version of law enforcement, which is the FBI.
Right.
You know what would happen if we got rid of that, which, by the way, it's only been around since the 30s.
Right.
I'm like, okay, fine. But give the president back his authority to fire these people without having to be threatened with impeachment. Just fire these damn people.
And through the media, the threats that the media puts out there, the fake stories they put out there, they perpetuate this whole narrative that Trump is somehow is walking a very thin and narrow line, and impeachment could possibly, I mean, look at his insanity. We need to speak about his mental state of mind, like where mentally it's, you know.
Well, speaking of Al Green bringing up the impeachment, do you have a video? It looks like you have a video.
Yeah, I got a little something Al Green. This guy's, oh my goodness. So this is Al Green speaking about what had happened, and that it, well, just let him
speak for himself. Oh my goodness.
Not helpful.
Well, backing up what you're saying, you took that in terms of putting together some impeachment efforts. They did fail this week. You forced the vote on the House floor. I want to just outline the two articles, one for associating the presidency with white nationalism, neo-Nazism, and hatred, another for inciting hatred and hostility. So a bit later today, I am speaking with Congressman Emanuel Cleaver, as you know, among the overwhelming number of Democrats who voted against it. Do you this morning feel a bit let down by your fellow Democrats?
No, I don't. I have not one scintilla of regret. For edification purposes, the Honorable John Lewis voted with us.
John Lewis, Mad Dog. He looks like the pit bull.
Okay.
Mad Dog Lewis.
All right.
What Benny Thompson did as well. When Rosa Parks took that seat on the bus,
yes, he did.
She didn't do it assuming that she would end segregation in the South at that time. She did it because it was the right thing to do. In fact, it was the righteous thing to do. And sometimes you have to do the right thing. Perhaps it'll become the spark. We had 58 votes. That's nearly a third of the Democratic caucus, and it's about 57 more than a good many people thought we would have. When Dr. King went to jail, he didn't think that he would end segregation while he was there in the Birmingham jail.
Yes, he did.
But he did the right thing. You have to stand up to hate, and you have to fight it. You can't
Can you give us
try
examples?
to placate hate. You've got to stand and look it in the eye and let it know that.
When you talk about hate, can you give us examples? What are you talking about?
He's talking about placating hate.
You can't placate it.
No.
But what hate are you placating?
Whatever you placate, you stare it in the eyes. You look hate.
What are you staring in the eye?
Hate.
What's the hate?
You got to look in the eyes when you see it.
No, but what's the hate?
It's out there. It's everywhere. It's all over the place. I feel hateful now.
I think Brian should run as a Democrat, just for fun. Just for fun, because I think he could pull it off. I think Brian could pull off running as a Democrat. It would be hilarious. It would be the ultimate troll of all time. Go all the way up. I don't know. South. Where was that guy from? Al Green?
Texas.
Texas, my God. Go to some liberal area and troll the whole entire United States by running as a Democrat. That would be hilarious. That would be so hilarious.
Oh, so more Democrat shenanery. Governor Andrew Cuomo, communist, full-blown. He is now under FBI is looking at a possible investigation that he hid many, many salaries to beef up his PR staff. This by the New York Post.
Well, you need a PR staff.
Apparently, he hired a bunch of people, whole bunch of people, under different budgets to work for him.
Well, I mean, if you have an entourage, it's kind of nice to go ahead and throw them a bone by giving them a job.
Well, the problem is they're getting paid with taxpayer dollars that were allotted for something else. And you can't do that.
Well, you could allot for whatever. Do you know there's a whole bunch of staff positions that Donald Trump didn't fill that were filled under Obama?
Oh, yeah.
Because he brought his entourage.
So, yeah, everybody got to get paid.
Everybody got a job. What's your position?
So
I don't know. I'm in charge of making sure that when they set the silverware for the dinners, that they're in the right places. Well, so you put the silverware out. No. I just check to make sure that they're right.
Yeah, check.
I just overlook, like over the shoulder.
Full time.
But I don't look too hard because it might upset the person that's putting it up. I don't want to insult them.
Especially if they're hate.
Because my friend is in the department that makes sure that we don't insult each other.
Yeah, if they're hateful, you got to stare them right in the eye.
Right in the eye.
Right in the eye. Oh, my goodness. Well, yeah, that's apparently Andrew Cuomo believes that he needed to staff more people than he had to have some for PR.
All right.
PR.
I'm a PR guy.
And then last week we talked about Conyers. He resigned, stepping down. The black Democrat out of Detroit. His wife went to prison because she was part of stealing money as a representative.
She was something.
City council, embezzling money. So
it's not very often people go to. Every city has city councilors. How often did
Jerry Springer didn't go to jail,
and he was writing checks to hookers with government money?
Yeah, probably should have been. So Conyers endorses his son, the third, to take his seat and to keep the family legacy, a legacy of mine to live. It is reported that his son said, "My dad is a effing playa."
Playa?
Yeah.
Who said this?
John Conyers' son.
Oh,
his
that's
son.
not good.
So my dad's playa.
Hey, what do you think about all these women that he's he's a playa.
Playa.
Oh man, that's not gonna go. And he resigned, right?
Yeah, he resigned, and so now the governor is supposed to be appointing somebody after a runoff of sorts of something.
Okay.
I don't know how the process goes.
I think it's filled by the sitting governor.
It is Michigan.
Hey,
they got more problems. They got
Michigan voted Trump. That's all I gotta say.
Okay,
that's all I gotta say.
Okay,
but
Detroit's got problems.
Yeah.
Detroit got
well, so Conyers is out, and Franken's going to resign. By the way, for those of you getting excited about Franken resigning, he didn't say I resign today.
No.
He said, I am committing to resigning in the coming days. Whenever that day may come, I'm going to resign if that day comes.
Right, soon or later. Something.
Can you give us a date?
Soon.
Oh, in the coming weeks. Which week? It's coming.
The ones that are coming up.
It's like you know, the little kids, they're like, how old are you? I'm going to be 12. But when they're really like 11, in this case, when are you going to resign? In the coming weeks. Well, which week? Well, it's going to come. It's going to come.
There will be a week that shows up.
It would be like my daughter saying, as an 11-year-old, how old are you? And she says, I'm going to be 30. Like, well, but you don't look anywhere near 30.
Oh, no.
I'm going to be there one day.
I'm
going to be 30.
One day I'll be there.
Going to be 30.
Yeah. So Democrat U.S. Representative Hastings, been in office since 1993. He was born September 5th, 1936. He's 81 years old. In Florida, Congressional Black Caucus. Okay, Brian, what did he do?
Yeah, what did he do?
Office of Compliance approved $220,000 settlement in 2014 to Winsome Packer, a former congressional staffer on commission chaired by Hastings, accused the Democrat congressman of making sexual advances, touching her, and threatening her job. Documents obtained by roll call reveal.
So he's right up there with Conyers and all them.
Yeah, she's saying that she immigrated to this country. And she's like, I wanted to make a come up, and this is what happened. Well, woman, you made a come up. You got $220K.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she probably shouldn't have got abused in the process.
Sure, but put it on Bitcoin, you'd be good to go.
Yeah, but Hastings abused her.
I know. So you need to be punished somehow, something.
You should resign.
All of them. I think he probably wanted to.
I'm thinking this slush fund, the $17 million, and some are saying a lot more. Like the $17 million was they were lowballing it. I'm thinking that a vast majority of that money will come up from. I'm thinking. It says trying to connect. We might still be on. Are we still on Spreaker?
Yes, we're still on Spreaker.
Good.
We'll let that hash its way out and see how that works out. Something about connections of sorts.
Did we lose our connection down here? Let's see what I got here. All the lights are on.
Okay. Well, at least we're still on Spreaker. So let me play this. This is what Donald Trump tweeted out. Let me play this real quick, and we'll round this out. See, Trump tweeted this out.
We're going to straighten things out. We're going to bring jobs back. We're going to bring jobs back to our country. We're going to bring jobs back. We're losing our manufacturing. We're losing our jobs. We're losing our economy. People are forced to leave, and you don't want to leave, and you have your house, and your house is worth less now than it was 15 years ago. And, I know all the problems. We're going to change that. We're going to turn it around. We're going to turn it around very fast. You're going to be amazed how fast it's going to go. You're going to be amazed how fast it goes. So, folks, we're going to win on trade. We're going to win on education. We're going to win with the Second Amendment, which is being absolutely brutalized. Here's what's going to go, and I love doing this, and I say it, and we have fun with it, but it is so true. We are going to start winning again. We're going to win. We're going to win so much, and I kid, but I say we're going to win so much that you're going to say, Mr. President, please, we're winning too much. We can't take it anymore. And I'm going to say, I don't care. We're going to keep winning. We're going to win, and we are going to make America great again. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
And with that, another show in the bag. Folks, follow us all around the social media, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all over the place. Short connection on Periscope. I don't know what happened. I got an error here. Lost connection on my connection.
It's
I don't know
totally
how that
messed up,
works.
but whatever. Make sure you guys are following us on the Twitter, and please donate to our patreon.com/SmithRadio, SMYTHRADIO, and also follow us on Facebook.
2017 calendars are in. Go get yours.
Yes, absolutely.
With unfathomable power.
What kind of power?
Unfathomable. It's without fathom.